All right, take two. First rule of the channel, we not talk about the channel. Second rule of the channel, this is not legal advice. So this is going to be chasing the dragon for week 4, going to week 5. This is going to be the reactive waiver wire show. Just got done breaking down the after waiver notes for tomorrow. The belle of the ball this week is going to be Dontayvion Wicks. I'll get into that a little bit with the Christian Watson dreaded high ankle sprain. When we're looking at streaming defenses this week, the big ones I would be looking at is the Dolphins and the Pats. You can roll either one of them against each other at this point. Like their quarterback situations are pretty dire. When it comes down to that, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Colts are going to be like two, let's say, iffy, maybe a little bit higher upside than the conservative script between the Dolphins and the Patriots that look like it's going to occur right now. When it comes to the Jacksonville and the Colts, if the Anthony Richardson is starting quarterback for the Colts, he's a turnover machine. And the same thing, it doesn't matter how bad the Colts are on defense. Right now, Trevor Lawrence is kind of a turnover machine when it comes down to that. The other one that's a little interesting is Seattle versus the Giants. The Seahawks may be available in that one going up against Danny Dimes for the Giants. The rest of them, I think, should be rostered or are probably not good enough to try and guess on from a streaming standpoint. These are the guys, again, I don't know who's available in your league. These are the guys that should have either been drafted or already been rostered, but I'll talk about them real quick when it gets down to that. Like Sam Darnold may end up being like real life league MVP, probably going to be good enough for like sub elite at this point, throws 3 more touchdown passes. Brian Thomas Jr., he has a little bit of a breakout in week 4. 76% snaps, 9 for 6 for 86 and touchdown. I still think from an overall perspective, he's the number 2 in the offense, but at this point, like probably going to be getting enough week-to-week basis that he should be rolled out like as a wide receiver 2. Lad McConkey, 77% snaps, 7 for 5 for 67 and a touchdown. Conservative offense, but at this point, like I do generally think coming out of the bye, he's probably going to be like a week-to-week start in that like wide receiver 3 or flex type range when it comes down to that. I did look this up a little bit. Like Xavier Worthy was rostered in a lot of leagues, but coming out of the Rashee Rice potential season-ending injury, if he's available, like definitely to speculate on who's going to be the guy that's going to get like those vacated targets in that offense with Worthy. So like these guys, I would be prioritizing even theoretically above Wicks. We'll get into Wicks here in a second. And then other guys, I'll talk a little bit more about Tucker Kraft here in a second. Should have already been rostered. If he's available, that's your tight end. And then Pat Freiermuth, if he's available, like this is chasing the dragon. 7 for 5 for 57 and a touchdown for Pat Freiermuth. Tucker Kraft, 9 for 6 for 53 and a touchdown, a fumble loss also. So like, chasing that upside again. I think they are both should have already been rostered when it comes down to that. So I'm not going to overthink that going after these guys. All right. Justin Fields at this point, like this was a bad defense for the Colts. He's able to throw for 312 yards, a touchdown, do 2 more rushing touchdowns on the ground, did fumble and lose one, or fumble twice, lose one. In this case, like probably at this case, because of the nimbly bimbly and as bad as some of the other quote unquote like higher passing volume quarterbacks have been, because of the nimbly bimbly, like, yeah, he's getting real close to being like a set and forget weekly starter at this point. Tracking into week 4, and this is the asterisk on going after Justin Fields, is his rushing has been going down because of the offense. So like the 10 for 55 for 2 touchdowns, like I don't know how consistent that's going to be going forward in an offense that, like, if they can just run the football and be very conservative and let their defense like swarm you, he's not going to have to do anything. That's what bothered me going into the Colts game. But again, like the Colts are a bad defense. Who knows what they're going to do against the Cowboys? The Cowboys right now are a bad defense also. But then you have like the Raiders, the Jets, that I probably would feel like less inclined to say that like Justin Fields is going to have to score a little bit of points. And again, part of the reason why the you could say that the Colts had to, or the Steelers had to score a little bit more points, is because Anthony Richardson, the turnover machine, he goes out. Joe Flacco comes in, can't predict that script ahead of time. Andy Dalton would be streamable, 2 more touchdown passes in this game. Same thing with Geno Smith in an absolute shootout with the Lions. I guess we could say that we could have predicted the absolute shootout, 56 or 38 for 56, 395, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, another 5 for 38 in this game. So again, like, probably looking at streamers or like deeper leagues where you need to be rolling these guys as your quarterback 1, 2 quarterback leagues, absolutely. And then Justin Fields is going to be like right on that line between like streamer and I need a starting quarterback. The main guy, if he's still available, and he shouldn't be, because I've been talking about him before, like, the season started during like draft season or during the preseason when JJ McCarthy went down, like Sam Darnold. That would be the guy that I would be trusting in this offense going forward. At this point, I probably even would be rolling him against the Jets, and then holding him over the bye when it comes down to Sam Darnold. That's like pretty high, in my opinion, when he gets down to it. Now, probably most everybody's here about like Kareem Hunt, why I don't necessarily think he's going to be the guy going after it. So in this game, and I was watching it, Carson Steele, he starts the game, gets the first 2 carries, he fumbles, and then he was just basically non-existent in the offense, 16% snaps. He did hit the field afterwards. That's when you have like Kareem Hunt, Samaje Perine, he vultures the goal line go-ahead touchdown in this game. So that's something else to be paying attention to. Understanding how they're going to be using these guys going forward. Kareem Hunt, 45% snaps, 14 for 69 in a conservative script. Like it was 10-10 going into the fourth quarter between these two teams. Chargers jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Now, he also did 3 for 2 for 16 in a passing game. How aggressive would I be on Kareem Hunt? I don't know. I don't necessarily think you're going to get the guy when it comes to this offense. You have CEH that can come off of the pup at any time, and then you're going to have Carson Steele. More than likely, this benching was like, one of those like, hey, you're going to learn to protect the football, be coached, and come back. So, like, I don't necessarily think that you're going to get Carson Steele completely phased out of the offense. This is just probably like one of those things like, we told you to protect the football. You didn't do it. We benched you. He's probably going to get another opportunity with this backfield. Again, unless they cut him, I don't necessarily think he's going to go away. Now, does that mean that I think he's going to be fantasy relevant? No. And that becomes the problem is when you're looking at like a 3 or 4 headed monster, what's that worth from a fantasy perspective? Now, am I going to be going after Kareem Hunt? Absolutely. It just becomes like, what is the appropriate amount of fab that I would be putting down in there, knowing that I'm likely not going to get a running back 1. I might not even get a running back 2. So like, would I be willing to put a certain amount of fab down to make sure that I don't have to see him is probably more interesting to me than going after a guy that I think is going to plug a hole in my lineup, if that makes any sense. Now, Chase Brown, this is going to be like another one of those, the dreaded hot hands, because now he's up to 40% snaps. He out red zone usage Zach Moss. He had like 2 or 3 red zone carries, 2 red zone targets in this one. Zach Moss cashed in his red zone target. Chase Brown got like 2 goal line carries, like a 1-yard run and 3-yard run. So like this gets really interesting. 15 for 80 for 2, and then 3 for 2 for 12. Now, I generally think that you're either going to get like a 50-50 split, or this was a little bit of an aberration, or the other thing that you may end up getting again is the dreaded hot hand, where like we can't predict like how either of these guys are going to be used. And this is with the Bengals going up against Baltimore next week. Now, if Justice Hill's available, and he shouldn't be available because he should be like rostered right now by the Derrick Henry owner, if he's available, he's already tracking from his week 1 usage as like a low end running back 2. So like, if that happens in deeper leagues, he should not be available at this point after doing 6 for 6 for 78 and a touchdown. So again, going after that, knowing that you are getting a cuff that has the bare lowest amount of standalone value, because he's going to have a certain amount of week-to-week usage in the receiving game. That's how he's used. Trey Sermon. This would be another one that like, I don't know. I probably would be getting really cute and stashing Evan Hull at the bottom of my roster. He was like the 6th round draft pick or 5th round draft pick last year for the Colts. He went on IR. He's on the practice squad right now. I imagine if Jonathan Taylor misses time, and right now, like we're not suspecting that that he's going to go on IR, but we might not know that till Saturday. I would be more inclined to spend nothing on Evan Hull than to expect it. Like we're going to find out that we get, how shall we put this? Trey Sermon may be a volume-based RB2 in a bad offense, because we don't necessarily know what's going to go on with Anthony Richardson either. So like that would be the best case scenario is, I get some type of capped out RB2, because again, that's generally what Jonathan Taylor was in the offense with Anthony Richardson, as opposed to maybe I get like Joe Flacco and I get a little bit more receiving work. They have Tyler Goodson that they have used in this offense. He's probably going to be a little bit more receiver. So again, like you're maybe looking at somewhere between like 15 rush attempts a game, very little amount of receiving work, and who knows how good the offense is going to be like. And I don't even know if it's not going to be like some type of running back by committee until they can figure it out down the line. So there's a lot of ifs going after like a lot on Trey Sermon. So like a little bit, from a theory perspective, a strategy perspective, some of these guys I put like, a little bit of bid on, because you will get a lot of leagues where guys generally don't know how to attack these guys, and like a $2 or $3 bid will land you some of these guys, just because like no one will bid on a guy. So like if you're worried about like your Trey Sermons or your Kareem Hunt, that may be the best way to attack them. Tank Bigsby should already be rostered as a cuff based off his like week 1 usage. In this case, like Travis Etienne, he plays like the first 2 snaps, he goes out with a shoulder. Tank Bigsby goes like 29%, 7 for 90 in this game. Etienne has not looked great. not to say that he's looked bad because the offense doesn't look good. But at the end of the day, like if you're chasing, maybe you're going to get some type of 50-50 split, like down the line. Like that's what we might be looking at with the Jaguars. Another belle of the ball this week, should be paying attention to this when it comes to Bijan pops up with a hamstring coming out of the game. And we talk about this, like Tyler Algier should have already been rostered by the Bijan owner. If he's not available, or if he's available, yeah, what's a win worth to you? Because this is a short week when it comes to the Falcons. They play on Thursday night. So, if Bijan went out with a hamstring, I don't know how much I would be expecting that you're going to get Bijan on Thursday night when you have like one of the better handcuff running backs that are just sitting there to do like 100% of snaps and 100% of work for the Falcons. So like that would be the main one. Out of all these guys, if he's available on my wire, and I don't know how competitive your league is, whether or not Tyler Algier would be available, that would be one of the guys. Now, when it comes to some of the wide receivers, Trey Tucker, probably not that interested in outside of deeper leagues. He is interesting in deeper leagues as a wide receiver 3. But again, this was with Devontae Adams out of the game that he was able to do this, and he did score on a rushing touchdown. The other guys to look at, like, I'm not going to lie to you about like Wan'Dale Robinson in this case. If he's going to be getting somewhere between like 8 and 14 targets a game, because like if it ain't going to Malik Neighbors, it's going to go to Wan'Dale Robinson. It doesn't matter if he's like one of those ugly wide receiver 3s that can't win me a league, those slot type guys. That's going to be a high enough volume to be like a 40-degree day. And I'll buy a 40-degree day. Did have a red zone target to go along this with in this. Jordan Whittington, a guy that I've been tracking on since the preseason. I did like him coming out of college when it comes down to it. So like, sometimes we can't literally watch it happen in real time, but like 97% snaps, 8 for 6 for 62 on this one. He led all wide receivers when it came to targets and being on the field at this point. Like, so yeah, should have already been rostered because, when those injuries started happening, I was expecting the speculation on this to occur. So like, if he's still available, remember you're probably looking at Puka not coming back for another month at the minimum. And who knows what's going on like Cooper Kupp. So you're probably buying like 1 week's a win. And then you may be getting, a month of, solid wide receiver 2 attached to this offense down the line. Xavier Leggett should have been rostered with the Adam Thielen injury. If he's still available, 10 for 6 for 66. He's the number 2. That's the long and short of it. I'll break this down a little bit more in after waivers, but he's the number 2 in this offense coming down this. And then Josh Downs. This gets like really odd if you're going to be going after him. Who knows what the quarterback situation is going to be with the Colts? And part of what he did, like 62% snaps, 9 for 8 for 6 or 82 and a touchdown. That's with Joe Flacco. So if it's Anthony Richardson, I don't know in this case, but like he's not necessarily just a slot only guy. He is kind of a vertical contested catch guy coming out of North Carolina. So like this is a little interesting, but obviously like I don't know how much I'd chase it, not knowing what the quarterback situation is going to be for the Colts go down the line. And again, like the farm when it comes to Dontayvion Wicks with the Christian Watson injury, like maybe it lingers. 6 to 8 weeks. I did see someplace that might be the estimate. Like I would probably say like the low estimate would be like 4 weeks when it comes to Christian Watson. 76% snaps, 13 for 5 for 78, 2 touchdowns. So you're getting red zone targets. He also led everybody in air yards on this one. So like he's the special one that you're primarily going to be going after in this offense. The other thing is like once he gets the job, there's no guarantee that like they're not just going to roll with him. Like he's the one that everybody was talking about in the offseason. If he's available, like that would be the closest one to dropping the farm on. And then when it comes to some of these other guys, like these guys are probably like safer bets than thinking that you're going to get something like absolutely special. But we've already saw like in this one shootout type game with Minnesota where you had a very negative game script when it came to the Packers. They had like 50 pass attempts in this game. Again, red zone opportunities, pure targets, air yards. And then he does like, 13 for 5 for 78 and 2 touchdowns. Like this would be the guy, if you need a league winning wide receiver, this would be the guy to be dropping it on right now. And then I already talked about Tucker Kraft a little bit. 86% snaps in this game script, 9 for 6 for 53 and a touchdown. Already should have been rostered. The main thing with Tucker Kraft going into this game was whether or not Jordan Love was going to roll. If Jordan Love was going to roll, he should have been a start. If Jordan Love wasn't going to be a roll, he should have been a stash. He shouldn't be available. And this would be the only other guy. Like some of the other guys I'll talk about on after waivers, there are a couple tight ends that Tommy Tremble, 87% snaps with Tommy Tremble. Like he's the tight end there. if you're going to be going after that. But anyway, these would be the Chasing the Dragon guys for week 4 going into week 5. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on After Waivers.